The Flash on 4K Blu-ray. Everyone told me this movie totally sucks, and it also super bombed at the box office. But I was really excited to see it, so I'm gonna review the disc and also go through the movie and analyze it and talk about stuff I like, stuff I noticed, stuff I didn't like, and yeah, it's gonna be like a book club, and like it's my turn. So here we go. So I first got introduced to Barry Allen as the Flash. Well, to Ezra Miller as Barry Allen as the Flash in this terrible movie that I kind of secretly enjoyed and now feel guilty for initially enjoying. And then I came to love Flash in this version of that last movie, this is the better version. Also, this quote right here, it's backwards for me, but one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. That is absolutely true. So I loved Ezra Miller as the Flash in those, because it's kind of two different movies. And so I was really excited for this movie. And I want to say something real quick about Ezra Miller. I don't really follow what celebrities do in their lives. And for me, that doesn't follow that, to have heard a lot of stuff that he does has to be pretty intense. I'm going to be reviewing this trying to not think of his personal life. However, I'm not going to lie, was constantly in my mind as I was watching the movie. But Ezra Miller did a really, really good job in this movie. I was very impressed. It was the movie that didn't do a good job for and to him. So I can enjoy his performance in this movie while not condoning his lifestyle. We'll just say that. The title sequence was pretty funny. It's kind of a subversion of expectations right here. It's all getting ready to take off and doing his weird little cool pose. The letters start coming up.
Patching you into Mr. Wade.
Anyway, so it's like getting ready to do this title sequence and just gets totally interrupted. So it really set the tone of the movie. There's quite a bit of humor in this. A lot of people, gosh, I was so saturated on the internet with people that hated this movie. And I guess it's popular to pile on and hate stuff, especially like when it bombs or, I mean, I'm kind of upset with DC right now just because they getting rid of Henry Cavill and kind of resetting a timeline that they already had going that I thought was going pretty good. But I liked the humor in this movie. So my biggest beef with this movie, besides possibly the whole movie and what it means, is so he goes to an alternate timeline with a younger version of himself. So there's two Barry Allens on screen, and they're both played by Ezra Miller. But the way that they decided to do it, I think, was lazy. I guess they just wanted to film it all once instead of having an actor do both parts and then just match it together, which you would think would be easier nowadays than ever. They had like a body double that he was acting with, and then like they CG'd over the face. And so throughout the movie, during various scenes, like the older Barry would have a fake face and the younger Barry would be like the actual Ezra Miller face, and it would go back and forth, and it was really terrible. Like, they've been doing split screen movies, like the original Parent Trap, where it's just the one girl and like it's seamless. And here we are, 2023. This movie is like, I can't remember the budget. It's like $300 million. It's like, are you just lazy that you just want to film these things once and you can't film it twice and composite it over? It was very distracting. Even with that, it was still mostly enjoyable. Quick note on this 4K. This is the Best Buy exclusive Steelbook, by the way. It looks incredible. The Dolby Vision is absolutely vibrant and vivid and lifelike and incredible. And the detail and the Dolby Atmos, very incredible 4K disc. Like, it might be a horrible movie, but this 4K disc is absolutely top notch. What detracts from it a little bit is the CGI in this movie is so many steps down the ladder of CGI that we've seen. This is like, gosh, I don't know. Like, I thought Attack of the Clones had really good CGI when it first came out. This may be worse than that, or maybe about that. I don't know. Maybe that's going a little too harsh. But the CGI in this movie is dated and fake. And there's a few parts where it's like when he's in the I can't remember what he calls, like the time bubble or something, and you can see all like the different timeline stuff going on around him. It makes sense that all that stuff would be really fake looking CGI, and that makes sense. But just like the day-to-day, like his face and his other face just looking super fake, that doesn't cause the 4K to be less. That's just the source of the movie, that CG just looks like that. Now, that being said, I can still enjoy the story with bad CGI. I don't have to have good CGI to enjoy the story. And so I think the story elements actually did work for the most part. Just like the first season of Mandalorian, the special effects are not that great. I mean, they look good, but they're not like movie quality. But I would rather have Star Wars of that quality with that level of special effects with good writing than the most incredible, beautiful special effects of 7, 8, and 9 with absolute crap writing. So this movie kind of falls, it's kind of like the first season of Mandalorian where, good writing might be a stretch, but enjoyable, watchable, decent writing with kind of not good special effects. So I'd take worse special effects for better writing any day. Or you could have good special effects and good writing, and you would be the movie The Thing from 1982. I was so excited to finally see the infamous babies falling out of the window scene and the Flash rescuing them. I just heard so much. People really, really hated this movie, and it was fun. I mean, yeah, the CGI looked awful sometimes, but it was fine. Look at this. So you got a bunch of babies falling out a window, and the Flash rescuing them. And I really liked how I loved all the aggressive Flash eating scenes in this movie, and because he has to watch his calories, because he has to have like a huge intake of calories. So anyway, I like that he keeps having things come up and he doesn't have a chance to eat yet, and so he's being super heroic even though he's low on calories. So I thought that was cool. Also, this movie has interesting themes with babies that are alive. Those are the ones we like. Or that are born, sorry. He rescues all these babies, and the movie puts huge importance on rescuing all these babies that have been born. We like babies that have been born. And then later in the movie, the girl Superman, but Supergirl or whatever her name is, Kara, I think her name, I can't remember. She was totally wasted in this movie, but she gets really mad because of something that happened to a baby. And it's just interesting in our society where not everybody values babies. And the reason I kept saying the ones that are born is because not everyone values babies that are not yet born. And so I thought it was interesting in this movie that there was a few really heavy, like, saving baby scenes. It was very interesting. It's not, didn't really coincide with a lot of the loud dialogue going on right now. So, I mean, I think everyone would agree it's good to save babies. And this movie really had some saving baby scenes. Very interesting and fun to watch. Here is another absolutely amazing subversion of expectations. You think he's gonna go rescue this baby right here? He busts into this vending machine and starts replenishing his calories. I love as he flies by the baby, you just hear it in the surround sound. You just hear it like... I loved it. It's so funny. Like, there's a lot of subversion of expectations where I think he's going to grab the baby, but he just goes for the food. But, of course, he gets the food so he can save more babies. It's cool to see these three on screen together again since Justice League. Sad that they had such small parts.
Yes,
I actually really like this part.
It's been a long time.
Because they know each other from school.
I feel like we
But-
saw each other like a few years ago, right?
No, because we haven't seen each other since college.
So I like that because it is a callback to specifically Zack Snyder's Justice League, because there's a freaking awesome scene in that movie where he rescues her, and that's where she saw him. So she just saw him really, really fast as he was rescuing her. So I like that. I like that there's a callback in this movie, and if you haven't seen that other movie, it's fine. You won't notice. But if you have seen it, then this scene is even cooler, where you're like, she did see him a couple years ago in that really cool scene. And he's trying to play it off, though. If you haven't noticed already, we are taking our time going through this thing. We're just going through at my pace. We're talking about it. We're looking at it. We're thinking about it. I just want to say again that I had the lowest expectations going into this movie for a few reasons. One, because it bombed. So I was just like, okay, it must be bad. Two, I actually kind of wasn't planning on seeing it because I was so mad at James Gunn for just like resetting everything. And I was just like, forget this DC universe, man. Like, they like string me along and they're like, now we're recasting everyone. I was just like, ugh. So I was kind of going to like boycott it. But then I was like, you know what? I actually really want to see it because I really enjoy him as the Flash. And I heard about Michael Keaton. And so, yeah, I really wanted to watch it. But man, my expectations were low. So we're going through this at my pace. So here's Barry going to his apartment. And I like this. I always like to just look in the background and see if I can see anything cool. But right next to his apartment, he has a comic shop. See that? I mean, it is really fast, but there's a comic shop by his apartment. I'm never a fan of recasting in movies, but sometimes they do a really good job. Barry's dad, this guy did great, and there's a lot of really good emotional scenes. Like Ninja Turtles 1, April O'Neil, really, really good. Ninja Turtles 2, April O'Neil, also really good, and more fits the tone of the second movie. So I can get behind recasting if they do a good job. And they did a good job in this. All right, if you haven't figured it out by now, let me just... The movies that I really like in DC, well, the newer DC, because there's like a lot of the older ones, I really actually liked Batman v Superman. But once I saw the director's cut, that is the absolute essential. Let me back up a little before that. Man of Steel was the first Superman that I actually liked. Sorry, the Christopher Reeve one, I've never connected with it as a youth. I always was more of a Batman person. So when I saw Man of Steel and it was just more like violent and gritty and Superman was super conflicted the whole time, I really, really liked that. I mean, as far as I'd never have liked Superman as a concept. It's just been boring to me. But Man of Steel, I like that. And then Batman v Superman, I enjoyed I had a smile on my face the entire stupid movie in theaters. And then when I saw the director's cut, I was like, wow, that is a great movie. And then Justice League, the Joss Whedon disaster version, I actually liked that. It wasn't very good, but I enjoyed it. I felt like I was playing with my toys as a little kid watching cartoons. Like, I enjoyed it. And then I saw... Well, I'm jumping around in time, but then I saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, and oh my gosh, that is one of the best superhero movies ever made, and I really, really like it. Of course, Batman v Superman introduced Wonder Woman, and then her movie by herself, her solo movie, just Wonder Woman, is very good. And then Aquaman is okay. It's still kind of in that timeline. Take it or leave it, but I think it's okay. I hated Wonder Woman 1984 so much, and I was thinking of making a video on just why I hate that movie so much, but it's awful. So I really like this timeline here with I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I actually really like him as a Batman, as like an older grizzled Batman. I liked him as Daredevil. So Daredevil director's cut, by the way. The director's cut is 1,000,000 times better than the theatrical version. So that's where I'm at on these DC movies. Those are the ones I like. Those are some that I don't like. And I'm just kind of talking in that timeline. I'm not really going into the older stuff right now. But so I really had a lot on this movie where I enjoyed the timeline leading up to it. Also, he does not look healthy. I mean, we'll make it move a little bit, but
I can fix things.
my goodness, look
You
at
can
him.
also destroy everything.
He does not look or sound good. I don't know what's going on with him in this, but he's like the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, where he like has that dream and gets out of bed and just looks like awful compared to the rest of the movie. I don't know what's going on with him. I really like him as Batman and Bruce Wayne, but my goodness, I don't know. I mean, I'm one to talk because maybe I don't look that healthy, but something looks weird with Bruce Wayne right now. So even though Ben Affleck is distractingly odd looking in this scene, this is actually a very touching scene where he's talking to Barry about not letting your tragedy define you, and that you don't need to go back and change your tragedy, and not living in the past, but living your life right now. It's a really great speech. And Barry's like, well, your tragedy made you a hero. And he says, well, it also made me alone. And then Barry's like, well, we can hang out. And it's just like, ah. And he declines, and he says a line that's actually going to come up later.
Not this time. Maybe some other time.
Not this time, maybe some other time.
Yeah.
And then he drives away really, 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 really slowly, like an old man. I don't know, maybe Bruce Wayne is just annoyed by Barry and wants to be alone, or maybe he's just so emotionally damaged he doesn't want to have a friend. That's possibly it, but it's just kind of sad to see Barry so desperate for a friend. It's, you can relate to how bad he is around people. And that line, maybe some other time, actually has a lot more weight to it, because time is a huge thing in this, because he's changing time and he's going to different times. So maybe some other time, that line has more weight than just like, let's hang out later. It's like maybe some other Batman, maybe me in a different time. I don't know. I like that line comes up again later. All right, who would not love this superpower?
Coming in.
She pops in on him and wants to go in, and he zooms in and tidies up real quick. It's like,
I'm not gonna lie,
Who would-
it's a lot tidier in here than I expected.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a pretty tidy person.
who would not love the ability to hurry and tidy up like that when you have a surprise visitor? My goodness, so many embarrassings would be avoided. Funny part. So like I said, I only really know the Flash from this Ezra Miller version. I've seen a little bit of cartoons where he pops up, but really I don't know a lot about Flash. So when he busts this superpower out, just goes through the wall to his neighbor's house to take beer out of their fridge. That's so cool. And then this is funny.
Beers. Keep them in my fridge.
What the heck? Anyway, yeah, he like has this thing where he can like vibrate his molecules through stuff. And there's a part later where like it shows on a molecular level him going through something. Is very, very cool. So I like that power. I have no idea where it came from. I'm sure it's in the comics. But that's the thing, is I'm evaluating this movie just as a movie. I have no idea what the comics are like. Speaking of the comics, this movie has a special feature. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a 38-minute deep dive into the Flash comics, and it's really, really good. And I would say it's like on par with the first Iron Man special features. There's one special feature on the first Iron Man that's like a super deep dive in like the history of Iron Man. It's really good. This Flash one is just like that. So very awesome special feature. I like the way that they do time travel in this movie. He gets in like this little bubble that he's going real fast in, and then it's almost like this stadium opens up around him, 360, with all these different memories. And they're just atrocious CGI, but it almost works because they're just like these weird spinning memories. And I think this is the clearest shot we have of Henry Cavill in this movie right there. So kind of a bummer that he wasn't in it more. So yeah, even though the CG's terrible on this, like not very realistic, I guess it's not terrible, but it's still like it still tells a story, and it's actually a very interesting story the way it's telling it. So I'm fine with it. Okay, so on this very cool and very touching scene where he goes back in time to give her the can of tomatoes, which would prevent her from sending the husband back to get tomatoes, which would then stop her from getting murdered. It does this really cool, of course, flash thing where everything goes into slow motion, slow baby, and then okay. Sometimes I push pause, and I think I'm recording, and sometimes I'm recording and I think I push pause. It gets a little awkward. But this part right here. So I like that stuff goes in slow motion and flashes really fast and everything's neat. And this is a cool shot with all the water coming off of here. But no, who mops like this? Look, you get it in there with the liquid on it, and then you put it in the wring out thing and you squish it, and then you go mop on the floor. You don't just dip it in the bucket and just like slosh a wave of water on the floor. Like, so they went through all the trouble to like film this and slow it down or CG it and whatever, but it's like, this isn't how you mop. This is ridiculous. So it's like a very touching scene because he sees his mom and he's like, oh, I'll see you soon and all that. But it's like, this person just sloshing water onto the floor. I don't know what's going on here. But someone needs to, they need to consult someone who's mopped a floor before they put something like this in a movie. Warner Brothers, I hereby offer my services as guy who's mopped a floor before consultant for major movies. We can contact me. We can discuss fees and compensation and contracting. So he's changed the history, changed timeline, and now he's going back into his time travel thing, and it's showing a bunch of memories that he didn't live, and he's being all touched because they're all with his parents, and it's so nice. But then this scary monster-y thing pops out and like charges after him. Like, what is this thing? What is that? All right, so again, not a comics person. I have no idea. I see that and I'm like, am I supposed to know what that is? I've got no clue what that is, but it's scary and I want to know what it is. So I was just so intrigued when I saw that, and you definitely find out later. But so people that know Flash stuff, did you know what that was when you first saw this? I don't know. I was very confused. Super touching moment after Barry has relieved some old people of their clothing, and then he comes in here to see his mom for the first time. She turns around. He's got tears coming down his cheeks, and then it cuts scene, and his cheeks are dry. Goodness gracious. Continuity error. But listen to this line, because it's a multiverse movie. Listen.
The universe was this. You got to her.
Is that Barry and he's early? What universe is this? What universe is this? Because it's not the one he came from. So double layered dialogue. Very cool. Okay, so I like the two Barrys, and I like their relationship with each other. I like that this Barry is just silly, party, childish Barry, and that this is like more mature Barry. Some people just hated this one. It was fine. It felt like a natural kind of stupid, goofy 18-year-old. But like I said, the part I dislike the most about this whole movie is the lazy way that they decided to have two people on screen that are the same person at the same time. And they couldn't just do the Parent Trap thing and actually make it look good. Like, I'll see if I can try and illustrate what I'm talking about here.
18.
Okay, right here. So this is real Ezra Miller. This is CG face. It's paused, so I don't know if you can tell how awful and lifeless that looks, but look at this. It just does not look good. I don't know, maybe it looks better through my camera. Okay.
Whoa.
So you have both of them, and when they're by themselves, they look normal.
So we're like in the future.
Okay, so right here, that's clearly the real one. Over here, it's like super fake and shiny looking. I don't know if
This is catastrophic.
Like,
and
can you
no,
tell
we're not in the
how
future.
bad it
I was
looks?
supposed to be back in the present, but
Look at it.
Future. No, wait, this is not trippy.
It looks
dude.
awful.
This is catastrophic. And no, we're not in the future. I was supposed to be back in the present, but I'm still in the past.
All right. It doesn't really show up on the camera, but one thing that's weird, so the face, it just looks like shiny in CG. But another thing that's weird, it's like the CG isn't staying on the body of the person. So it's like it's almost like wiggling around. It just does not look convincing. And the thing that's weird as well is usually when it's just one of them on screen, it's the original actor with no weird face CG. But and then when it shows both of them, like one of them looks fake. But occasionally it'll be showing one of them and it's like the CG faced one. And it's like, you couldn't get the real actor to film that part? Like, what are you guys doing? It's so weird. Such an expensive movie. Such a dumb choice for an expensive movie. There are so many movie posters in young Barry's room.
How can you forget that anything ever
I'm
happened?
trying to find them all.
Because you're me.
So
I mean,
there's
at
a
least we shouldn't.
Pacific
Please
Rim
don't.
one in the background.
No. Because here's the thing. I saw.
There's an Inception one right there. Right there is a Pacific Rim poster.
Wake up and you forget that anything ever. So
I'm pretty
you like
sure
a plane
there's an
that
Animatrix
goes underwater, or
poster
like a
right
boat that can fly.
there.
How old are you? Like 40? Okay.
You're never going to believe me, but I know that's what it is. That is an Animatrix poster right there. I think there's a part where you can see it clearer, but there's so many movie posters all over the place.
Love you.
Anyway, it's fun to try and see them. Yes, I'm going to dedicate more time to the posters on their wall because I found cleaner shots. Pacific Rim and I Am Legend. And then here comes the other one.
I can't tell you what I changed. But
Here you go,
essentially,
Animatrix
my
right over his
version of
shoulder.
reality, I ended
And there's
up
also V
interning
for
at the
Vendetta.
Central City Crime Lab.
Here you go.
We walked
Look at
through
this
the door.
amazing CGI face.
Yes.
Right there. Can you believe that? Looks so bad. So here's one Barry talking to another Barry with a bad face, and we'll get over the bad face. Actually, no, we're not going to get over the bad face. But here's a fun Lord of the Rings reference.
You can't have it.
Listen to
You
what he
borrow it,
says.
So you don't kill yourself using your powers. You're gonna push this button and the silk molecules are gonna uncoil. Superman.
Barry's
You're gonna
description
kill
of
him. Who is
Superman.
I'm assuming still incognito. But yeah, he's an alien and he's very powerful and he's just the best. And then Zod is an alien from the same planet, also very powerful, but he's just the worst. And Zod.
Okay, so Superman's just the best, and Zod's just the worst. That's a great description. But Henry Cavill Superman is just the best. So I think that's a very good way to describe him. There's sure a lot of talk about Superman in this movie, specifically referring to the Henry Cavill Superman. To not even have him actually in the movie, my goodness, come on now, people. You never get rid of a perfectly good Henry Cavill. My mom always used to say that.
You and I are friends.
Yeah, you're like probably my best friend.
Aw. Okay, so Michael Keaton is back as Bruce Wayne / Batman, and every single second that he's on screen is really, really great. He's incredible as Bruce Wayne and Batman again. Really, really good. Very cool to see him back in this movie. Worth watching the entire movie for him. He's not in very much of it, but maybe. He's really cool. And then also that scene that I just showed is really touching. He's like, and in that universe, like, me and you are friends. And Barry's like, yeah, we're like best friends. And it's like, aw, he just really wants to have friends. Michael Keaton. Okay. He looks so fake, but it's funny that he's messy. People couldn't handle that. I really like how Bruce Wayne explains time travel and multiverses using the spaghetti, where we think if we go back in time, we just change the future and then the past is still the same. But he says it's retrocausal, I think is what he says, where if you change a moment in time, it goes both ways. And he said it goes many ways. So very cool way to explain time travel. So I love all the different ways of time travel. Like we have Back to the Future, And then we have like Avengers Endgame, which is a very different kind of time travel, and then this time travel as well. So I like to learn about different time travels. And then this movie, comedically, subverts expectations once again with this amazing line from Bruce Wayne.
We need you. In my timeline, Batman's our strategist, our leader. The world needs Superman. You're the best detective in the world. You're probably the only person who can help me find him. So will you help us? Pass.
I love it. The music is all building up, and then he just says, pass. Very good comedic subversion of expectations once again. So another cool thing with Batman being back is they actually play some of the Danny Elfman music from the original Batman movies when you see him. And it actually works really well and fits very naturally. I know I've been trashing the CGI in this movie a lot. There's actually some really good CGI, and some of the like bad CGI, like kind of like this fight right here, everyone's moving like so fast and there's so much going on that it almost lends itself more to looking more cartoony. Like it almost, I don't know how to word it, that it almost fits that it looks more cartoony because of what's happening. Just like at the end battle when both Flashes are running everywhere and you got Supergirl or Superwoman or whatever her name is doing all this stuff. The bad CG actually, it works. It is cartoony what they're doing. I mean, look at that freeze frame of Batman. He actually looks really good right there. But there is really a touching part when Barry picks up Kara, I think her name is, and she's like all sick, and he's holding her, and he's just like, I got you, and it's just like, aw. And it's cool that he got her because they were expecting Kal-El, they were expecting Superman, and so for him to just rescue her anyway and be like, I got you, is just like, what a good guy. And then that line comes up later when she's holding him and says, I got you, and it's like very cool. So there's the leap of faith that you have to take as an audience. And typically I think that leap of faith is usually how the hero gets created. Like with the Hulk, you just have to accept that happened and now he's the Hulk, or Captain America, or like Captain Marvel. There's like a ship that has some of the juice from an Infinity Stone and it explodes and gets on her, and now she's the most powerful person in the galaxy. You just have to accept that part. Flash, he got struck by lightning and got a bunch of industrial chemicals on him. So because you want to be like, no, that would just kill you, or that's dumb. But with all these heroes, you just have to accept whatever their origin is, or else you can't follow the rest of the story. And this movie, they go to the place in time to where the Flash gets created, and then the other Flash gets his powers, and then the one Flash loses his powers. And then for the other Flash to get his powers back, they recreate it, and so that's like a leap of faith moment where you just have to be like, okay, they can get him struck by lightning, they can put because they know the chemicals that were present there, they can recreate it, but it's still just a little bit like, so you can just make another Flash anytime you want with this process. So that's a leap of faith part. So they just make another Flash basically. Also, the younger Barry, look at his costume. It's a Batman costume that he spray painted to be Flash colors. Pretty cool. Oh, I didn't say this already, but speaking of the Batman costume, he moves like he moves in the older show. Like he has a stiff neck and he looks up and down like that. So he actually moves like Batman. And so the whole time he's on screen, it actually feels like a continuation of that Batman. Okay, and here is possibly one of the coolest kills in this whole movie. Look at this, he's gonna use the wiggle to go through some power. He just killed a Kryptonian like it was no big deal by wiggling his hand into his heart. It was so cool. So like I said, during this end battle, you have Superwoman, Supergirl, who gets super mad when she finds out what General Zod did to baby Superman, baby Kal-El. And again, you have the theme of this movie, just of babies being important and that you should protect them, which I was surprised with and liked. But now here's this line that Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck Bruce Wayne said earlier in the movie. And at that time, it was kind of just about hanging out. But even then, you kind of know that multiverse stuff's coming, and so you know that there's a little more weight when he's like, not this time. And then kind of like when the dad is like, what universe is this? So there's all these really cool lines that have a surface level and then like a deeper like multiverse meaning. It's very cool writing in that sense. And then the Bruce Wayne line from earlier comes full circle right here.
Not this time, kid.
Not this time, kid.
Maybe some other time.
Maybe some other time, which, again, this Bruce Wayne knows what's about to happen to him. And even his words, maybe some other time, where these guys can time travel. It just has, I love the double meaning of it. It's very cool. So then the movie just goes on a very aggressive tour of all things DC ever. To see Adam West Batman here. It's crazy. We get to see a clip from the Tim Burton Superman that never was. So it's a little bit double-edged sword where you're seeing this tour of the DC universe and it's like, wow, this is so cool. But kind of the theme of the entire DC movies is that they keep trying to do things that the Marvel universe has already done, but that the Marvel universe earned through like a decade of build-up. So the DC universe keeps trying to be like, hey, that cool thing Marvel did, let's just skip to that. And it's like, it was cool that Marvel did that because they built up to it. And so again, so it's really cool to see all the different universes in this movie. But again, it feels like they're trying to do a Spider-Man No Way Home or an Avengers Endgame, where it's just like, man, DC is just like a day late and a dollar short all the time, which is too bad because I like a lot of DC characters better than Marvel characters. I mean, they got the details right. This is exactly what the like behind the scenes photos of Nicolas Cage in the suit actually look like. Complete with chest hair sticking out. This movie has a lot of chest hair. A lot of Ezra Miller chest hair sticking out. There's a lot of chest hair in this movie. It seems like a lot of movies try to suppress that kind of thing. And as a chest hair person myself, I felt that I was being represented because representation of every single kind of person ever made in every movie is definitely very important. And as a chest hair person, I felt represented in this movie. This part at the store where he's face to face with his mom.
No, I'm just a random lady in a store.
And they have this conversation as if she doesn't know him, but you know that they do. And so it's a little weird because it's almost like the motherly wisdom beyond the ages and beyond the multiverse is kind of happening right here, where she realizes it's him and realizes something serious. And you know, they have a very tender moment here, and it is awesome. It's kind of like in Avengers Endgame when Thor sees his mom, where it's super touching. And again, the mom has just this wisdom of the ages. Now she's a god, and so that's a little bit different, but it seems like just motherly wise that they're portraying just this wisdom of the ages, where she talks about herself, or anyway, she keeps pretending that she doesn't recognize who he is, but it's like they both know it, and it's a very sweet moment right here.
Very weird.
Okay, so here comes Bruce Wayne in his car, and I now recognize his voice on the cell phone. And they're not showing his face, so you know something's up.
Hey, Barry.
And they drop
No,
the F word.
You no, you can't.
George Clooney. I mean, he has been the sexiest man alive. He still looks pretty okay. So the end of this movie brings me such mixed feelings. So the movie is extremely watchable. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It has a lot of heart. It's cool to see all these actions. This is crazy to see George Clooney Batman back. So do I just have to let go of how much I love like the Zack Snyder movies, basically, like Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck? Do I just have to let go of that and be like, no, this is a fun multiverse movie? Or am I angry because they've kind of erase that universe. Here's what I think. I had fun, and I laughed at this part, and then I'm like, oh, but I don't like what you're doing to the movies I love so much. Here's the thing. Those movies that I love so much still exist. This movie feels, wow, 40 minutes. Oh my gosh. Congratulations if you made it this far. This movie feels like almost like the first in a Flash trilogy, because the way that it ends, it is kind of self-contained, and it's like, oh, okay, cool ending of a movie. But it almost feels like you could go on and make another movie of him trying to get everything back to how it was, and then you could get it there, and then you could eventually have Justice League 2 and Man of Steel 2, and it could go really cool places. But as it is right now, this movie kind of buries the Zack Snyder timeline. I know people don't like when I call it the Zack Snyder timeline, but those movies, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let go of that and just think this is a fun movie that I enjoyed and that I laughed a lot during and I felt feels during. And also, it doesn't matter. It's like a light, fluffy, trying to be heavy, but ultimately doesn't matter because James Gunn has ruined the DC universe. And so this is kind of just a fun end to those other movies. So it's hard to take it as a fun end. So I was very conflicted at this ending. And, it's like, did I like that or did this just ruin everything? And honestly, I'm still kind of torn. I'm leaning towards that I liked it. Honestly, it was pretty fun. But the end credit scene with Aquaman, and he's just a stupid drunk, and that's literally where it ends. He's just like face down in a puddle. That was almost pushing it the other way into this movie being like just completely destroying that old universe and just like mocking Aquaman. So what are my thoughts on this movie after 42 minutes and 3 seconds? I think that I'm sad at the state of the DC movies. I'm sad that they fired a perfectly good Henry Cavill. I'm happy to see him. It makes me laugh, but it's just a joke, though. I'm sad to not see Ben Affleck anymore. I'm sad that those movies didn't go the way they should have, but I liked this movie. I liked it just fine. I mean, kind of like the X-Men movies. They're all just like a bunch of really good B movies. That's kind of like what this was. This might even be slightly better than a big handful of the X-Men movies. So I liked this movie, and I'm sad that it bombed because I would like more. Now, I don't know what Ezra Miller's future is. Like, is he going to be in jail or what? Like, he's done a lot of crazy things. I don't know what they are. I don't really follow it, like I said. So I don't know if he's going to, can he be in movies? Is he going to get in big trouble? I don't know. But I would like to see more of these. I'd like to see more of Wonder Woman and Ben Affleck and maybe more like even multiverse movies. It's sad to think that this is the end of Michael Keaton playing Batman, but anyway, this has been a long video, and like I said, we're going at my pace. We're not in a hurry. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the review, on the movie, on DC movies in general. What's your favorite DC movie? Do you have any that you hate like I do, like Wonder Woman 1984? Anyway, I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching. I recommend The Flash if you can handle those caveats or what it does. But it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. This is a long video. Bye.